The next part of the lesson, we are going to keep factoring. Now, these are going to be examples when we don't have a quadratic equation and we don't have the sum or difference of cubes and there's no greatest common factor. So if that is the case, then when we factor, we are going to factor by grouping. Now, this may or may not work. So sometimes we'll try it and it won't work and we'll have to try something else. But if you are going to factor by grouping, you need an even number of terms. So if we don't have an even number of terms, then it's a waste of time to try this method because it's not going to work. All right, so for problem 11, so we have a cubic equation, but it's not the sum or difference of cubes, and there's no greatest common factor. So we're just going to try grouping the first two and the last two and see what happens. So here I can factor out an x squared from the first two, and then we would have x plus 5 left. Second group, I'm going to factor out a negative 2, so that'll be x plus 5. So our parentheses match, so I'm factoring out that entire group next. And then we would have x squared minus 2 in the second group. And here we don't have the difference of squares. This is a linear factor. Can't do anything else, so that is my final factored answer. All right, problem 12. So again, we have an even number of terms. There is no greatest common factor. So I'm just going to try grouping the first two and the last two. So from the first two, I can factor out an x, and we would have x plus 3y left. And in the second set, I can factor out a 2y squared. So if we do that, we will have x left, and then plus 3y. So again, parentheses match. So that means that our final factored answer will be x plus 3y, and then x plus 2y squared. And there's nothing else that we can do to simplify, so that is our final factored answer. 13, so again we have an even number of terms, so and I have to split them evenly. So it looks like our first three have an x in them, so I'm going to group the first three and the last three. So from the first three, I can factor out a 4x. So then we will have 2a plus b plus c left. In the second group, I can factor out a 3y. And then we will have 2a plus b plus c left. So again, my parentheses match. So my first set of parentheses will be 2a plus b plus c times a quantity of 4x plus 3y. And there's nothing else that we can do to factor. So that is our final simplified answer. All right, one more problem. So again, looking at 14, we have an even number of terms. So I'm just going to try grouping the first three and the last three. So from the first three, we can take out a 6 and an x. So by doing that, we will have 5a minus 4b plus c. In the second group, it looks like we can factor out a negative y squared. So that will leave us with 5a minus 4b plus c. So parentheses match. So my final factored answer is going to be 5a minus 4b plus c times 6x minus y squared. And if it's not going to factor by grouping, then that probably means that it's going to be prime.